It's Mars, lover of all things iconic, and welcome to another episode of The Creative, where we kick all the shit about all things creative and how you get through your creative process and how we bring our imaginations to life. Welcome back. Hope your week is going great so far. And I hope it's been filled with creativity. I know sometimes I can be in a creative slump, but this week it's been pretty good. We're back in the studio with a very special guest. This creative has such an impressive resume in the fashion space and outside of the fashion space. They have styled for Calvin Klein, Aria magazine, Gucci, most recently Marc Jacobs, was featured in Vogue magazine as a rising stylist, and was one of the stylists on the biggest tours of 2023, the Renaissance World Tour. Please help me in introducing to the podcast, Milton Dixon.
Hi.
Welcome.
It's so funny hearing yourself be introduced. It's actually, like, really insane.
I mean, get into the resume. It's really eating down.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And thank you for coming on such short notice. We've been talking about this for a minute, but I had the thing booked, and I was like, are you free? And Milton was like, yes, and pulled up today, and it's 90-degree weather. So
crazy.
I appreciate the love and support.
Hot here.
So, how's your week going?
I mean, it's going good. I've actually luckily been very busy this
Because of Pride?
Well, Pride, and then there's like work, and like I feel like for me at least, like things pick up so much during the summer.
Yeah.
Like I work so much, and like it's such a blessing. So I've been on go.
Is most of it like local, or you're like traveling to?
I mean, I was just in London.
Oh, cute. That's where I want to live at.
Oh, yeah. It's really cute there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the young creators there are like so...
They're ahead of everybody else.
Yeah, it's so amazing being there all the time. And then, but yeah, mostly in New York. I mean, I was in Italy a couple months back, but that was like way before summer.
Cute.
Yeah,
so are they really racist up there?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I say that in the same sense of like they're racist everywhere. Like,
gotcha.
I didn't find anything that was like more specifically racist about Italy. I think Italian people in general just have a very different culture, and they're a little more straightforward.
Oh, I
with
see.
how they do things, and like also quiet as it's kept, a little more. Well, I guess it's not that quiet, but they're like slower. Like,
okay,
they do things at their own pace.
I like that.
Exactly.
Because New York is too fast sometimes.
Yeah, me and my friends always joke, like when we're working in Italy or something, we're like, the first answer in Italy is no. Like, that's their first go-to. You ask for something, they would be like, no.
Listen.
And then you have to work them into a yes. But
okay, because I want to go to the Amalfi Coast and all that shit to see it. But I'm like, if y'all gonna be racist, I'm not wasting my money over there. But if it's not more racist than America, then
definitely nothing's more racist than here, y'all.
Well, that says a lot. Okay, that says a lot. Okay, so let's get into Dream Gig, which is everyone's favorite segment of the show. And this is a segment of the show where we manifest dream gigs as creatives. So any dream job in the industry, it can literally be anything, whether it's designing a sneaker for Nike or being the next creative director of Dries Van Noten. What would be your dream gig in any creative industry?
I don't actually know a title. I'm going to say like a creative director, because I think that title now just sort of molds itself to be whatever it is. But yeah. I really would love to work with like a brand like Nike, or a brand like a huge brand, and put together some type of community creative space.
Okay.
I really love working within like the people around me. Like I really love like doing things like this. Like we've seen each other and been around each other for a while, and like it's so nice to be able to like do things like this together. Like I love.
Absolutely.
I think that's like the name of the game creatively. Everybody I love has like reached and pulled back and like built things that like help the next generation. So I think a creative director of some sort, or just work with a brand to build out programs and programming for the young Black Southern boys like me, you know, like.
Wait, so
Southern
where in the
boys
South
and
are you
girls,
from?
I'm from Florida. I'm
Okay.
from Miami, I'm from Pompano Beach.
Okay.
But like I've moved around and like lived but my family, is everywhere in the South. Like I got family in North Carolina, South Carolina. Oh, nice! I was just there this weekend.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I saw the Bojangles. I was like, is this bitch where I'm from right now?
Yeah. So I got family all over Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, a bunch of family in Atlanta. So like I'm originally from Broward County, Pompano, but I bounce around the South all the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love that dream gig because I feel like community, especially with creatives, like that's where the magic happens. Like, I think about brands like Hood by Air, like they were very much community oriented, and they produce some like iconic shit.
Yeah, so. And they're honestly like things like that are like the blueprint for a way a lot of brands work right now with community, and like whether be it like performative or not, like. There's a lot of things that are working, that brands are working with, a lot of young designers that brands are working with to build like real, true community. And like that's what, because I would say, I'm rambling, but
no,
I would say, first of all, I don't want a job.
That's the thing. I don't want it to feel like work.
Exactly. I love that it's called Dream Gig.
Okay.
That's what I want it to be. Pop in, pop out.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yes. But I would love to be able to get the funding and from these huge businesses that have like disposable income and just rework that and maneuver that into spaces that really need it and can make it shake with it, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. My dream gig this week is I would love to walk in SS Daily's fashion show.
Oh, period.
Because he's one of my favorites, and like I love his tailoring, his design, his clothing.
It's so amazing.
So invite me to the show, and if you want me to walk in it, I'll walk too. Exactly. So that's my dream gig this week. Exactly. I'll get into my other dream gig at the end of the show because I have a very special question for you.
Right. Okay. Cool.
Okay. Now it's time to answer some questions from the creative community. And if you would like to send some questions to be answered on the show, you can DM us at our IG at The Creative Pod, or send us an email at thecreativecreativepod@gmail.com and put creative community in the subject. Creative community is a new segment that we have where listeners get to send in letters or questions or whatever the fuck you want to call it. And we answer them on the show. And it's usually based around like creative struggles or hurdles, or it can be like anything random, like what's your favorite food or whatever you want to know, ask us, we'll answer it on the show. But this week we got a really great question from April Tanya on TikTok, and she said, how do you balance surviving with prioritizing creativity? So Milton, I want you to go ahead and take a shot at this first.
Oh my gosh, that's actually very interesting because I've been juggling with this recently.
Me too.
Juggling with this recently because so for this week, for instance, I styled an editorial, and if for people who don't know, a lot of times within fashion, the editorials that you see, like the fun, cool things like that are in magazines, the creatives behind it don't really get paid. Like,
okay,
listen. They don't get paid. They don't get the money. They don't get money for it. If they do, it's a very small budget, and we're primarily funding those things ourselves. So, and it's no shade to the mag that I was working for, because I really like them and like what they're doing, but I think it just all kind of came at me at a very hard time. Like I'm like working in between jobs, and it was just like, this is crazy. So it's a very new magazine. I reach out to a lot of my connections with PR for clothes and all these things. And it wasn't a celebrity. It's not a cover. It's not any of those things. It's literally just a creative thing that this magazine came to me and my photographer friend to do. So, but I said yes. And at that time, a couple weeks ago, when I said yes, it was like, okay, this is fun. Let's do this. And now that the time has come and nobody is giving clothes because I didn't factor.
Oh, that's the worst.
Yes. Nobody's giving clothes because it's Paris Fashion Week and nobody cares about like a small editorial. Like, and then it's just like, it was just like a very last minute process confirming talent and all those things. So it just was really frustrating. It was really frustrating. I ran into all my group chats, all my close friends on things. And I'm just like, I think the industry as itself sort of has this very flawed system when it comes to those things.
I agree.
And it's like, why do I have to put up over like $2,000-$3,000 to rent clothes, pay assistants, transportation, making sure things get here, overnighting from LA, overnighting from Paris, like all of these things that like add up that are not cheap. And like, but to go back to the question, it's like, it's hard. I think it's really everybody does it how they can, and I haven't seen, even for myself, a good formula to do it, like a formula that I can repeat. But the one consistent thing that I would say is community, and that's why like I'm always here for like, especially Black people, like getting together and doing shit, because it's like if I couldn't call up Evan from Theophilia, because he used to live downstairs for me. If I could be like, girl, I need a dress like,
right now. Hey,
if I couldn't call up like Naomi, because she's Naomi from Vogue, because she used to be my roommate.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, if we didn't have that community of people that like we could just like connect with, it would be like. We wouldn't be able to work. It would never work. Like, I wouldn't be here without the people around me. Like, it's like these people around me have like built me to be who I am, and vice versa. Like, I think everybody would say the same. Where it's like it's really community. That's the through line through it. Like,
absolutely.
You gotta call in those favors.
Okay.
Call in those favors. Like, hey, y'all know somebody who can pick this up? Y'all know a good assistant that can come and swing through and help me with this crazy shoot?
Because the worst they can say is no.
Exactly. So. It's like, hey, like, no, but that's honestly the through line. It's community. Be nice to people. Be nice to people the first time, and not because you just think you can get something from them. Like, because you never. I will tell you, this industry flips and turns, and
every day.
The girl you think is not it is the next one.
Exactly.
So it's like definitely community, like the people around you.
Yeah, I would say the same, because I'm in between jobs right now too. So I'm like putting all of my effort and willpower into all the things I'm doing creatively. So I just moved into an apartment that I was telling you about earlier. Yeah. I got approved for this apartment my last day of work. So I'm like, yay for the apartment, but how am I gonna pay for it now?
That's how I go.
Right? But I was like, okay, but I've always been a crazy bitch who will just jump off the ledge. I was like, it'll figure itself out. I'm just gonna take it.
Right.
So I'm very much great in a creative space. Like, it's coming out, which is good for me. But I do need a job. Like, I do need money, and like my creative endeavors are not bringing me the income to sustain me. Right. And like you said, it is community. Like, I am calling my friends, and they're like sending me grocery money, and they're paying half of rent. Like, they're keeping me afloat because they believe in what the fuck I'm doing.
Exactly.
And that means a lot, because I had to think back, because I'm very like, I'm a do it myself type of bitch.
Right.
And I hate to ask people for shit, but I had to think like, well, they asked me for stuff.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm gladly give it to them, because these are people I love and appreciate. But I think that's it. I think it is community, because you can't do it all by yourself, and then closed mouth don't get fed.
Right. I mean, and that's even, I think that's even a lesson like for life in general, because I think when you think back to our parents and like, and grandparents and aunts and uncles, they were all like, even if we didn't know it, it was like, oh, okay. Growing up now, I'm like, oh, my uncle gave my daddy $200 so I could get school clothes. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, it's like that type of thing. Like, it's like the community around you, especially, and I almost say it to the day I die, especially as Black people, because that's how we survive. Like, we survive. We get in food from, she bringing the chicken, she bringing the
potato
the
salad,
greens,
yes, like,
and we having a full feast because everybody's there and everybody's bringing what they can, and that analogy can be brought into fashion and can be brought into tech. It can be brought into whatever industry that you're in, because it's like the people around you are gonna help you.
Exactly.
Like,
and I think as Black creatives, like, or just Black people in general, I feel like being resourceful is something that's just in us. Like, we're gonna make a way out of no way every time. So
exactly, it's natural to us.
Yes, April, that was a great question. And please continue to send in your creative community questions. I'm loving this segment. It makes me feel more connected to the listeners. And I want to know what y'all want me to talk about. So send them in. Again, email, IG, comments, wherever you see me on social media. If you got a question, just put it there. I'll answer it. Okay? Such a fan of your work and your personal style, so I have a lot to get into, but let's start from the beginning. So what are some key factors from your upbringing that led you to becoming a stylist?
Immediately I go to the women in my family. I mean, the men also, but on my mom's side, my mom has 5 sisters. She has 5 sisters, and all of them work in some type of beauty realm. My mom herself owned a nail salon before she became like a teacher. While she was teaching, she got her esthetician license.
Word, Mom.
and then my grandmother was she owned a beauty salon in the neighborhood, also ran a catering business. My other aunt, nail tech. Other aunt owned a hair salon. Other aunt worked, she did hair supplies.
Okay.
Like, they started doing all that before they was selling
this
hair.
Real Black and Southern.
Exactly.
Yes.
She was selling hair before all the girls were selling hair. But yeah, it's that brought me. So I've always been around people and women who care about how they look, care about how they dress, who take pride in like how they present themselves to the world. And I also think like that's, like you said, that's inherently Southern. Like I think so I think once I realized that I had a stronger interest in it. I've always been interested in art, and it was like dance at one point. It was music. It's like, I mean, still music, but like I'm interested in all of those creative worlds. So once I realized that I can make money doing it, and it's something that I can actually like sustain myself, it was like I went full steam ahead.
And when did that click that, I can like have a career in?
Probably in high school. In high school, I was in drama club.
Oh, cute.
Yeah, I was in drama club, and I was a terrible actor. And I was a terrible actor because I'm a real bitch. but I was great at like all the back end stuff. Like I loved like wardrobe for things, like helping with the wardrobe. I loved helping build the sets. I loved like the lighting design. Like I liked all of those things, and I was like, oh, okay, this is something that I see myself in. And then I was also really obsessed with music videos. Like
me too.
I was obsessed.
Making a video was one of my favorite shows.
Yeah.
And I wish it would come back.
Exactly. I got to meet Melina Masukis.
Really?
And at the time, she don't know I was gagging in my head. 'Cause, girl, you have like shaped who I am.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
The B-Day era, you ate that up on limited coin.
Exactly.
The girls are still referencing that on the mood boards today.
Rihanna videos.
Yes.
All those things.
Yes.
Like, and then we go to like Hype Williams, all these things, like, and then it was like, videos, even other things like Gwen Stefani,
icon.
Videos, like her videos really shaped how I see like clothes and how they could be used and build characters. Lady Gaga, all these like pop icons and like amazing women who really shaped how I see the world. But yeah, I think that's my upbringing there. And then just like growing up in the hood, to be honest, everybody was like we touched on before, everybody is resourceful.
Yeah.
Everybody's resourceful. The girls, like, I remember I would make clothes for girls. Like I would
Me too.
bleaching. I'd be bleaching jeans.
Okay, embellishing, all type of shit. Yes.
Like I took a sewing class in high school, and like I would make like bags and be selling bags and gifting them to my friends and their sisters and like all these things. Like, so I think it was like on my small scale, it was already there. But then once I realized it could be like a real thing, then I leaned into it very heavy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I used to be, I'm still obsessed with pop culture, but like when it was like a thing, like back in the day, I used to look at the credits in Vogue or in tabloids and like, how can I get my name here?
Exactly.
Because that's what mattered to me. Like, of course I love the end result, but it's really the process for me that I love.
Right.
Which is why this show was even created, because I love to talk about the process.
Exactly.
So why was moving to New York City important for you to pursue your career?
At first.
Well, when did you move here?
So I moved here in 2012.
Okay. Oh, me too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. I moved here in September of 2012. And it was very interesting because I was going to this art school in Miami, downtown Miami International University. It doesn't exist anymore because it was such a scam. and I actually just got my loans forgiven for that school.
I'm waiting because what the fuck?
But so I was going there, and I think it just felt, all of the things that I was learning it felt like things that I would just research on my own time. Like I knew everything about Karl Lagerfeld. I knew all of these, like I just knew inherently, like, or not inherently, I just spent a lot of time researching and diving into the things that I loved. Like, it was like I was looking at collections and all these things from that way. I was looking at even the business behind fashion in that way. Because I'm like, how do these people make money? So I just knew I had to be somewhere that wasn't Miami. Like,
yeah.
Because that's not the industry. I just knew that wasn't the industry there. So from there, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do an internship. So I came here for an internship, and then I got fired from my internship.
In New York?
Yeah,
shit.
Like literally the first 2 days I was here.
Really?
Yeah. The first 2 days I was here, I got fired. And then I was like, okay, I don't know what to do. I already saved up money and paid for this room, this crazy room I was living in Harlem. And I was like, okay, I'm going to stay for the month and then I'll just go back. But then I started going out and going to the places that I saw online and going to like art galleries and all these things. And I met somebody who worked for Nicola Formichetti team.
Okay, Lady Gaga's stylist.
Yeah, Lady Gaga's stylist. And then I was like, okay, I need to be in New York because this is... Clearly, these things that I've obsessed over are right here at my fingertips.
Right here.
So I think I knew I needed to be in New York, but me coming here, getting fired, and then running and meeting this like person who was so close to the things I was obsessed with, felt really like, okay, this is where it's supposed to be.
It was like an alignment moment.
It was all alignment. And it was like, he asked me, to come in and like intern for some days, and then I started working with them. Like I was interning for them for a while. So, excuse me. And then that was the moment. And also a random one. I was walking through Times Square looking for a job.
The worst place to be
worst place.
around.
The worst place. I'm like, even then, I was like, why am I here? But at the time, the Condé Nast building was in Times Square.
Okay.
And Grace Coddington had walked by.
Oh wow!
I was gagging. So I was like,
was she by herself?
She was with I want to say she was either with Andrew Bolton.
Okay.
She was with I don't remember. She was with a man. She was with a man. I remember, and I was like, oh, I know that orange hair anywhere. And
absolutely.
then it was like that was another. Oh my gosh! Like, this is where I'm supposed to be. Like, I pay attention to a lot of those signs, and like a lot of those, there's a lot of times in New York, and a lot of times just in life in general, within relationships and all those things, where like these cosmic things happen, and I'm like, yeah, this is where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
Like at this time, so.
And listen to those things.
Yeah.
Like,
listen to those things. Like, pay attention to the things around you, because like they'll tell you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Even like the struggles and the hard times, like they're telling you something,
Right.
and you have to like really zone in and listen.
Exactly.
Okay, so you just styled the new Marc Jacobs Times Melissa campaign that stars Alex Consani.
My girl.
I love her. I want her on the pod. So if you can connect us,
I will.
get us connected.
She's so fab.
She's so fab and funny.
It's so funny. She's hilarious.
Yes. Yeah. So can you walk me through the creative process of how you bring a campaign of that magnitude to completion? Like, so you get the job, what happens from there?
Usually in a lot of these, with companies like Marc or just like bigger brands in general, like they have a creative team or they hire a creative agency to like come up with these ideas. So around the time that I'm brought in or a photographer's brought in, they've already built out a creative for this thing. Like,
okay.
Like, obviously I come in and I have my input and I say what I say. And I have like just creative input in general to say like, oh, okay, I feel like we should probably change that. Like, that is a little whatever, or that color seems a little off.
So are you like the finishing touch, basically?
Yeah.
Okay.
In these situations, it's honestly case to case, because like I now that I'm out on my own and like sort of building a name for myself, in a lot of situations I'm able to come in at the beginning of the creative process. This wasn't one of them. Like,
is that what you prefer, to come at the beginning?
I prefer that. Yeah. I mean, it's cool. It's really cool and like great to see. Like I just worked on this thing that's not out yet for this brand that's new to America, and I was working with them for like months. Like, they came to me and they were like, oh, we really enjoy your style, like da da da, blah blah blah, told us about you, this and that, and it was like, oh, this is what we're trying to do. What do you think? Who do you think we should cast? What product do you think is nice? Like, what product do you think we should push here? What feels New York? What feels America? What will this generation of people gravitate to? And that was really cool. And to see things that I've said like come into fruition is like such a blessing and so beautiful. But to round out the question, I think it just depends. It's case by case. It's really sometimes somebody will come to you with an idea already, and you kind of put in your input and put in your flair. And then sometimes people come and they're like, we need your input, we need your flair from the beginning. And it's really case by case. So
when it comes to a brand like Marc Jacobs, who, you know, they have all the products, is it easier that way?
Sometimes, because I felt like even this Alex Consani thing, I've at this point when we shot this, I had done several projects with them, and it was all that season, like that collab just dropped into a season where they had a bunch of campaigns. So I had used that product a lot. So to me, I was feeling like, oh, I don't know how we're gonna make this different and make this new and make this feel like something that like nobody has seen before, because a lot of that product had been used in editorials, used in other campaigns, and like it was like, okay, how do we attack this in a way, or like is there some hidden like SKU number product that I haven't seen, you know? And it's like, okay, how can we dunk this girl in the water and make this look cool? So so it was like so that becomes kind of like a mental gymnastics where it's like we're trying to figure out what is cool and how we can recreate something that fits with what they're trying to sell, and that feels new. I think, I mean, it's all art and commerce.
Yeah.
You know?
What I will say, when I look at your work, it's very like, it's minimalist, but it makes a huge impact because for this Marc Jacobs Melissa collab, like, yes, it's Alex Consigny on water, but you really made it a focal point to make the shoe stand out. Yeah. And I see that in like a lot of your work. Yeah. So I can tell that it makes sense that you go through mental gymnastics to figure out how to make that happen.
I appreciate that because that's definitely something that I really am honing in on because I think my natural I lean towards like very minimal ideas like helmet 90s, like Prada 90s, like I'm like very David Sims to the world, like you know, like that's like the world I hold up and look at and look to for inspiration a lot of the times. So that is like what I try to convey. So I'm glad it's actually...
Yeah, it definitely comes across. Are you a fan of Housewives?
I am.
So how was it working with... You also worked with Lisa Rinna and her daughter, Amelia Gray from Marc Jacobs. So how was that?
Oh my gosh. That was so fab. That was so exciting. One, because obviously everybody's a Lisa. If you watch Housewives, even if you don't specifically watch that franchise, you know Lisa Rinna.
You know that haircut.
You know that haircut. So I was so excited to meet her. And then Amelia, I haven't worked with Amelia at the time. So I was like, oh, she's fab. She was eating the runways. She's been eating all the campaigns. I was like, she looks amazing. So it was like having that duo was great. Like Lisa was so fab. And it was just so fun. Like, it didn't even feel like work. Like, it was
that's what we love.
Yeah, it didn't feel like work. Lisa telling stories about her and Marc, and like, it's like, because they're friends, and like...
That makes so much sense that they would be friends.
Exactly. Telling the wildest stories, and then like...
Was he on set?
No, he wasn't on set. But he knew everything was happening, and he's like... And he kind of like oversees a lot of things, but he wasn't there that day. But
have you met him yet?
Yeah, I met him a bunch of times. Like, because I used to work. So before I started working on my own, I assisted Alistair McKim, who was the editor-in-chief of ID, and we did a lot of. He still does it now. We did the Marc shows. So like, I was with Marc, who is very, when it comes to his shows and when it comes to like the things, he's very involved. So it's like a lot of long nights with Marc and the team, and like, yeah, he's amazing.
He is. When I met him, because he's like my favorite designer, I always say that.
Yeah, same, actually.
And I was so nervous, but I saw he had a vape in his hand because he was also nervous. And I was like, oh, just go say hey. And then like we just had a cute little conversation in the moment. And I was just like, child, I have to get out of my head. This is a human. Even though like you looked at this person's work for all of these years and like saw how the girls was fighting over his bags back in the day. Exactly. This is still like a human being.
No, I saw him at a show. The last time I saw him in person, I saw him at a show, and I was like, and we were both waiting on the elevator, and I was like, should I say hi? It was like those things, although we had like worked together so many times before this, in my head, you still have that imposter syndrome where I'm like, is this person gonna remember who I am? Like, I'm like, I don't know, this is Marc Jacobs, like he's Marc Jacobs. And then before I even got a chance to say something, he spoke.
Oh,
and
cute.
Was like, hey, Milton, we miss you around here.
I know that's right. Bring me back then.
I was like five. And like, I was like, nobody can tell me nothing.
Not
you
a
can't
thing.
Tell me shit.
Marc
like,
Jacobs remember who I was.
Exactly. And he was like, even then, like when he said that, I kind of like paused a little bit. I had to wake myself up. Like, I'm like, say something. Speak.
Because the fashion world moves so fast, so you don't even get to like celebrate your moments like that.
Yeah, exactly. I was like... But yeah, he's so down to earth and so chill. I'm obsessed with Marc, actually.
So speaking of ID, you've done quite a few editorials for them. And most, if not all of them, you make it a point to feature Black-owned brands and or person of color brands that are on the rise. Is that intentional?
Of course. I mean, honestly, it's really not as intentional as I think.
It just comes natural.
I think as a lot of people try to make it feel like when things are happening. Because to me, I feel like I've always sought out Black owned anything. You know, like I come from a family of entrepreneurs. So I think we've always had the idea of like, mom's like, okay, I need a doctor.
Yeah.
We trying to go to the Black doctor.
Exactly.
Like, we need a accountant. Like, we going to the Black accountant.
Exactly.
Like,
and in the South, that comes so natural.
It comes so natural.
Yeah.
Like, that's like, so around 2020 when it was this whole like idea of like, oh, we're looking at Black designers and we're doing this thing, and like, although a lot of these companies need to be saying that, and I'm not saying they shouldn't be, but from a Black creative standpoint, it's like I'm always looking for the black shit. Like,
that's what the flavor is.
Like, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think naturally, it's funny because naturally that's where I end up being. Like, it's like I've traveled a lot, thank God. And like, it's so funny, me and my friends say it, where it's like, we always end up at the nigga shit.
Always.
We always.
That's
like,
what the fun is.
We literally like, so I think it's not. It's definitely intentional. It's definitely intentional. And like, if there are specific instances where it's like, I know this is gonna get like high attention, I definitely lean towards like finding like a person of color and finding specifically Black, somebody to highlight. I mean, I actually have this really major thing that I can't talk about right now, but I'm gonna just throw a little tidbit in there.
Give us a little hint.
Right. I'm working with the CFDA.
Cute.
Very, very soon, and we're gonna announce this amazing, amazing project that I've been working on for like a year now.
Oh wow.
So it's coming out. We're gonna make that announcement soon, and it's gonna be really amazing, and I feel like it's gonna shake the industry a little bit.
Okay, I'm here for it because the industry definitely needs a shaking.
Exactly. So that's gonna be really fun, but it's gonna be featuring Black designers as well, because like that's where the flavor at. That's
I love
where
that.
We it.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
When ID was acquired by Carly, did that impact you at all? Do you still work with ID or?
No, not really. I mean, it definitely impacted me just because my connection to ID was because I worked with Alistair. So once the Carly shift happened and Alistair ended up leaving ID, it was, I think I'm a loyal person. And not that there's like this huge like feud that everybody tries to make it feel like. I think creative differences just happen.
Yeah,
like,
it is what it is.
It is what it is. Like, that's what happens when new people come. But I think I loved ID already, and I loved being a part of Alistair's team. So when he would hit me up, it's like, okay, yeah, I'm down to do whatever. Because like, it's with him, it's always coming from like a great place and always coming from a good thing. Like, but if ID would have hit me up to do something now, like if they come back with like a vigor, I would still do it. Like, it's no huge divide really. It's just a matter of like change, shift. Fashion, it's always shifting.
Yeah, you have to be ready to go with the wind.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
Most people see being a stylist as this glamorous job, and it does have its glamorous moments, but 99% of the time, it's very challenging. So can you share some creative challenges you faced in your career so far?
Outside of what I was saying earlier about like editorial, I think I've been in even positions that you're saying like where I'm like job to job, and like, because I think a lot of people don't know, because I don't really talk much. This is one of my first times like saying, like,
which is why I want you on the pod.
Yeah. But I used to work at a lot of different magazines. Like I went from interning with Nicola and assisting Brandon Maxwell to working at Interview Magazine. I worked at Vogue for a while.
Were you one of the Nylon girlies?
No, I never worked at Nylon. But I went from Interview to Vogue. And then I went really corporate and worked at Calvin Klein.
How was that?
It was cool. I was there during the Ralph era.
Oh, period. Yeah. I would have wanted to work there too. Yeah.
Exactly. I was there during the Ralph era. It was fab. We had a great time. And like my job there was I was working as the liaison between like the brand and the stylist.
Okay.
So I was going on all of the ad campaigns, like all of the major ad campaigns. I went to like the Kardashians.
So you had like first access to all of the...
Yeah, like I saw everything. Like I would be at the shows and like all of these cool things. Like I was there during that like high... that second high moment of Calvin.
New York was really New York.
Yeah, it was buzzing. Yeah, it was buzzing.
A crazy feeling in the air.
It was a crazy time. So it was such a cool job, and I had never worked like super corporate like that. So it was like, okay, yeah, fly me business class to Amsterdam.
Okay, right now. That's like my favorite city in the world, by the way.
Right.
I love Amsterdam.
Exactly. Like it was like, yeah, I'm in LA every other month for some job, for like some ad or something. Like it was like a cushy corporate job. But then I ended up going back to my styling roots and like and working with Alistair and like all that and that whole team. So
okay.
Yeah.
So how do you like, let's say you're planning a shoot for editorial or for a client and you have this particular vision that you're going for.
Yeah.
But a wrench is thrown in there, you can't get the piece you need. You have to like adjust to another way. Like, how do you navigate things like that where your outcome is not what it started out being?
I think the name, like, it's funny because like on the macro level for fashion, like I think we know that it's about change and it's about movement and it's about those things, but I think that trickles down to a micro level too, because it's like you always have to pivot. Like you always have to pivot. You always have to like figure it out on your toes, because these things never end up how you envision when you go into them is never really how they happen. Like in the end, like there was this person I used to work for called Templar, and he said to me once, he said, "Nobody knows anything but the image."
That's true.
You know? Like
that's true.
I
want that on a shirt.
Right. Like the people that we're sort of building this idea for and building this fantasy and like aspirational thing for, they don't know anything but the image. Like you see what you see. Like you don't, like when you saw the Alex Consani thing, you don't know the things that went behind that until now, you know?
Right.
So like it's really all about that. Like, it's like just making it work. Like, if you gotta bend and borrow and beg, like, for these things, then, like, make it happen.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just like having a plan A, B, C, D. Like, that's really the name, too. Also.
And I will say, like, do you feel when you do have to pivot, like, and the outcome is what it is, it kind of like feels a bit better than what you initially were thinking anyway? Do you feel that often happens?
100%. Like, I've been in so many situations that are like, oh, okay, I thought this was going to go that way, but then I did this. And then we did this, and like it's fab. Like, like we turned that. Like, oh, it didn't go as easy as we wanted it to, and like we have these things in the bag to like know what to do next time. But like the fact that we had to go through that, like it turned it. Like that little grit that comes to
every time.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Now we're getting into one of your biggest projects today, I think, which is the Renaissance Tour.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So Milton worked on the Renaissance Tour on Shiona Turini's team.
Yes.
So the lead stylist.
Yeah.
What was your role with
I was assistant costume director.
Okay. And can you describe what that title means?
Costume designer, yeah. It's really... It's like I am one of the people who really make it happen. Like so basically the hierarchy is like B, and then for fashion at least, B, there's like Shiona and Ryan's a part of like the more logistical side of B's team.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one that everybody was making fun of when he helps her with the clothes dressing. Everybody making
Oh,
fun of,
okay.
yeah, with the stairs and shit. So he's great. And then underneath is me and Tara and Brandon, and like we all like kind of make everything else shake in that world. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a responsibility.
Yeah.
So the tour took 3 to 4. Well, the tour had 3 to 4 teams of stylists, but you work with the main stylist.
Yeah.
How did that opportunity come knocking? Like, did you work with Shiona previously, or are y'all like really close? Like, what was it?
Yeah. I mean, so this is another thing where like community comes in, because I had known Shiona for years. Like, Shiona was an icon in my eyes.
Shiona. I be calling her Shiona. Shiona.
No,
Shiona.
It's Shiona. Shiona is like an icon in my eyes.
Very much so.
Yeah, and even before all of these things, like I knew her when I first got to New York and was working, and I was like obsessed with like the background behind fashion. Shiona started CR Fashion Book with Corinne Rothfeld.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know she started. I knew she worked for them, but I didn't know she was like...
She was the inaugural team.
Oh, cute.
Like, she started that. Like, she was one of the main fashion... I want to say, I don't remember her title, but it was like... I think it was like fashion and accessories director.
That's very iconic, Shiona.
Like, she's a icon. So I was like... And then went to W and like held the title there, and then like she was fashion director at Cosmo for a moment, and like that's where we kind of crossed paths, because I was like in between gigs, and I had got hit up to work in the closet at Cosmo. And I was like, hell yeah, Shiona's there. And like, usually Cosmo's not my flavor, my speed, especially when it comes to like fashion. But like it at the time I was like, Shiona's there. I want to be close to Shiona. So we
intentional, guys.
Right.
Intentional.
Exactly. I was like, I know who's there. Let me figure that out. So I went there and worked maybe like not even very long. I think it was just like a couple weeks, and like, but intentionally I was waiting on her, whatever she needed. I was like, okay, I'll run and go get that. I remember I made like a Halloween costume for her.
Yes.
I was like, that's my girl. I was like, yes, I'm gonna go. She was like, oh, I need to find a costume. I was like, oh, I got ideas. Like, I was like, you could wear this comb. She had this comb skirt she wanted to wear, and I was like, oh yeah, let's make it Minnie Mouse. Like, I got stuff for Minnie Mouse.
So she was Minnie Mouse and Comme des Garçons.
Yes.
See, that's why Shiona is the girl.
Has always been the girl. Has always been the girl. So I stand Shiona, and over the years we have built a relationship, and she's just been somebody that I can call on to just if I had like career advice or all those things. So like once. And she also, it's a lot of crossover. One of my old bosses is like really close friends with her. Okay. At Interview, Julia Gall. So it all was like a mishmash of like, we always cross paths, like in a way. But once she had first did announce that she was doing the tour, I wasn't a part of it at that point. And I was like, yes, Shiona, fab. But the creeping up on the US leg, I get a call from my homegirl who I connected with Shiona to work with her on the US leg. I mean, on the European leg, and then she calls me and she's like, hey, Shiona is about to call you. Just a heads up.
Okay, by the phone. I'm waiting.
Shiona about to call you. Just a heads up. I was like, oh Lord, what's she about to say? Because you never know with Shiona. You never know. It could have not been Beyonce. It could have been a show she's working on. Like, because she's also costume, just a little more Shiona standing. Insecure costume director. Yes. She has an amazing movie that's coming out that I saw clips of. Beautiful, beautiful, shot in Baltimore.
Ooh, amazing. I will be seated.
Like, she's amazing. But so she called me and I'm like, hey, what's up? And she's like, she eased it in there. She's like, okay, so I'm on this tour.
Girl, the tour.
Right. And she's like breaking down the different sections of the show. And she's like, this new section kind of came up as the show progresses. And we're kind of, because Renaissance was sort of like this thing that I felt like the Parkwood team, and even Beyonce, like it kind of snowballed into something that nobody really expected.
It looked totally different in the US than what it looked in
Europe. So they were building it out, and they were like, this first section, Act 0, is a section that we kind of are lacking in because they weren't really expecting it. So it was like, we need you to come in and like, we want to get some younger designers, we want to get some cool things, but like gowns for her to open the show. So I was like, cool. She was like, you can do it from New York. It's chill. Like,
fly me out, girl. Fly me out.
She was like, you can do it from New York. It's chill. Like, we just want you to like collab with these designers and give your ideas, and we'll run it through her, and then once that happens, you can just send it out to us on tour. She was like, you can have it sent to you in New York, you check it out, and then we'll send it to us on the road. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I start working, I'm sending ideas, all these things. Shiona's like, oh, this is amazing. Like, these things are great. But we kind of need help if we're going to do this. Like, we need help with fittings.
Basically, pack your bags and come the fuck on.
So she's like, so she eases it in there, and she's like, but just come for a couple weeks. Come from a couple weeks, knock these fittings out. We'll have them, because we had a huge truck, like a huge, like, 18-wheeler. On the road. She's like, knock these out. We'll have them in the chamber for her, and then you can go.
So how does how does that work? Like, well, not how does it work, but how does it feel like? Because I'm sure you went to brands before, but you're going to brands for Beyonce. Yeah. Does like the language change? Does the mood of the room change with the designers?
For sure. I mean, it changes in a few different ways, because it's like, one, it's huge NDA things. Like, you don't want anything to spill out, because like, she's one of the biggest stars, so everybody wants a piece of information. And then at the same time, it changes in the sense, because Beyonce pays for stuff. She pays for shit. Like people give stuff.
What La Roche say, we buy.
We buy.
Okay.
Like, she pays for stuff. She's like, if she likes it, she wants it. She is like all about creative vision. Like, she's like, and I mean, obviously there's like budget constraints with certain areas, but it was nice having no constraints. It was nice to not be controlled by like, oh, this season, that season. Like, it was more so coming to designers and being like, hey, this is the idea. This is the mood boards that we're working with. This is the thing. Like, I would go to designers and look at past collections and be like, I think she would really like this, because she has like a whole laundry list of things that she loves, and like things about her body that she loves, that she wants to show, and things about like the fit of things that she wants to show, and also functional things that like for a stage and like changing looks. So it's like, so it would be things like that, like where it's like, that's the difference going to people, because it's like, okay, what can we do? What's your idea here? Like, here's my idea based on your work and like what we're doing. And like, people will come back, and it would be great to be like, oh, I think you should tweak that. Like, I think you should tweak that. It's like, it was working with designers in a very different way. It wasn't like just a pull and like, oh, we shot it for this magazine, or just a pull, we put it on this celebrity. It was like, we're actually like building an idea.
Yeah.
There. So like, that was really cool.
And that leads me to the next question. When it comes to styling, you do have to consider so many things: comfortability, movement, aesthetically pleasing, and a whole lot of other shit. Aria Lanelle from TikTok had a question. How did you mix couture fashion with technical, athletic, high-performance fabrics?
Oh, wow.
For example, the Loewe one piece, or the Pucci, or the Versace. Like, these are very couture houses, but she was dancing, shaking, doing her thing.
Yeah. Pucci's actually really, really great because I was a part of that process from the beginning to end.
Okay, that makes sense as to why. Because my thought process when I saw that look, I said, why wasn't this like since the beginning, like the low because that's very. When I think of Renaissance, it's iconic. That's one of the iconic looks.
No, Pucci was one of mine. Like
you ate that. You ate that.
Yeah. Me and Shiona was like a US like thing. Like we worked with Pucci. Pucci flew in and like we had fittings at the fittings. We were testing fabrics. Like all of this on the road now.
I feel like she's been doing this shit since the Miss Carter tour. When she was on tour and working on the Beyonce album.
Exactly. Like, but yeah, so the Pucci look is really close to me because like I really talked to them and talked to that amazing team from the beginning to the end of that process. And like, and it's really that. It's really like a trial and error kind of thing because even the Loewe changed throughout the tour.
Because my favorite one is the silver. I know you girls like the gold, but it's really the silver for me.
Yeah, and even within things that like the audience doesn't see, like within it, it's like maybe some tour days, like she's like, oh, this is really hard to dance in. Like I'm feeling like I love this look, but like I can't move in it how I want to, or like it's a little too tight. Like can we take this out? Can we send it back to them to do these things? Like because she's moving and singing and doing all these things, so she gives notes every show.
Yes.
Every show, the next morning, or even
and make sure they're applied.
Yeah. every show, or the next morning, sometimes the same night. We get notes back about like clothes and about like, okay, this zipper was very hard for us backstage. Like, cause we're backstage sometimes, but she has a separate team that is like dressing her. Like, so yeah. So it's like it's really trial and error.
Okay.
And there's like specific guidelines too that we kind of go to designers with. There's specific zippers. She has a shade of different like colors that match her skin, like all those different things, like swatches of fabric. We know she has an amazing tailor, Tim.
Okay.
Who's been with her for 20 years since Destiny's Child.
Oh, cute.
He is the funniest man I've ever met in my life.
I'm thinking, have I seen him before?
Probably not. Tim runs from the cameras. Like, he is
Tim, come on the show. Let's talk.
He is a silent legend. And
I love that though.
Yeah,
You've been on the scene for 20 years. Keep your mouth shut.
Exactly. He does his thing. He's worked with a bunch of other people. Worked with Prince. Worked with a bunch of like really iconic people. But he's been with them since Destiny's Child.
Yes.
And, like he knows her body. Like, and we would bring before we launch a look, which is how we would call it, like when we get the approval to go, like after she approves everything too, we go through him and he checks the fabric. They send us swatches of fabric, and like I was getting swatches of fabric in like fucking Detroit, like
wow,
fun look. You know what I mean? Like it's like I remember the Telfar team came to Detroit and we did fittings there.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
That was like amazing parts of it. Like
that was a good moment too.
Yeah.
Because I was like, he was ready.
Yeah.
When she had that shit on, I got an email the next day. This is available in store, man.
Yeah.
So I was like, yes, that's how you do it.
It was such a process. It was such a process. And like their team was amazing. It's it's really a lot going on behind the scenes. Was like you wouldn't even think of. Like
Pilar from TikTok had a question that says, "What would get a look chopped quicker, functionality or like the look? Like would it be like, oh, I don't like this, or I can't move in this? What is more important? You feel to her on tour?
That's hard to say.
It varies.
It varies because she's obviously you could tell from like her work, but she's the type that is like, let's figure it out. Like if she loves the look, she's like, okay, what do we have to do to figure this out? And like, so I guess it is like, it's functionality, I guess. Cause it's like, if something's like too heavy or or it's too way too tight, or like, or just doesn't fit her in the way that she feels comfortable, she'll be like, nah, I'm not into it.
Yeah.
Like, and like before we would show her looks, because we show her looks on like a fit model, and like shout out to Justine, who's fucking amazing.
So like this is like a person that you put the clothes on and show her how
she has
it
a very
look.
close, like she has a very close body shape.
I didn't even think about that.
So, like, because she wants to see how it actually looks on her, and you can't. It's hard to tell when it's like on you. So,
that's fab.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that is fab.
She's amazing. But yeah, shout out to Justine, because Justine is like actually one of the hardest working people, because she's at everything. She's at all the fittings. She does all the things that you see her. Justine has put it on, and to show how it moves and show these things, and like, because she's a part of every process. So it's like she wants to see how it looks on stage to the person in the nosebleeds.
Wow.
You know? So she's like, how will I look to them up there?
So is she going like up to the nosebleeds and looking at Justine?
I haven't seen her do that, but like it's all in process.
Yeah.
Like it's all process. Like it's all like, okay, I want to see how that looks on stage. Like,
okay.
It's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
What about wigs? Does a wig ever chop a look? Like, I like this look, but I want to wear this wig.
I don't know about hair. I couldn't even fathom. Well, actually, to speak to hair, there has been times where it's like, okay, this outfit, because everything is like bejeweled and things, she's like, we can't do that because the hair is stuck on it. Y'all gonna get my hair, like, you know? It's like, and we're fashion people, so we're not thinking that. We're like, okay, yes, it got a collar, it got like bejeweled. We're like, okay, we can take it up, like, you know? But she's like, I can't do that because my hair. So we're like, we've figured out like solutions for that as well. Like, we would put like mesh over certain areas, like a light mesh that you can't see from the thing. Like it's a lot of like little tricks that happen so you can have like the show. When
I would look at like tour footage from people who are like in the pit, you would, from my seat, I'm like, oh, she has like a top with her stomach out, and then you can look close, like there's a little thin piece of mesh there that just keeps her like together. And
it keeps her together, it keeps the sweat, like, cause sweat kind of fucks up things. It's a lot of little tricks that the team, like the amazing tailors, because we have a team of tailors that like who know herself, who know her body, and know how a lot of different performers get the job done. You know? Like, she's the last of a Mohican, because she uses a lot of tricks that the girls used years and years ago, that Prince used, that Tina Turner used, that all these people like who have done these things in these huge arenas and huge spaces. Like these tricks is what they turn into.
Absolutely. Yeah. I can remember when you were on tour, you would come to TikTok to, catch your quick meals. And I always wondered, what does a day getting ready for the Renaissance tour look like? Like, what time do you have to get up? Like, what time do you have to be at the stadium? Like, what does that day look like?
That is...
Is there a particular look that you were working on that you wanted her to wear so bad that didn't happen?
Nueve, of course.
Gold or silver?
Like,
or red? Solange or Rihanna?
Ooh, that's nasty.
Amateur porn or professional porn?
Oh my gosh. That's hard.
Some of the girls are mad.
Exactly.
They were upset, man.
They were upset. Like, we got condoms, face mask, Narcan. It was like one of the hardest times. Like
CD girls or JT solo?
But when she came up out of the ground, that was when I found out too.
That is so insane to me.
I hated that y'all was in the comments saying it, but